How's it going with the tour?
It's going very well, thank you.
All right, great stuff. So you're coming November 9th in Nova Scotia, Halifax?
Yeah, yeah.
So where are you right now?
I'm in Manchester, New Hampshire, in the States.
The weather's all good down there right now? It's nothing
no,
too
it's
bad?
been absolutely pouring down with rain.
Okay,
today.
that means we'll get it tomorrow.
Maybe.
The Australian Pink Floyd Show, the production and all that stuff. Talk a little bit about your amps and guitars, if I may.
Okay, yeah. What do you want to know about?
What type of amplifiers do you guys use on stage, let's say?
Well, for myself, I use a lot of modelling equipment, a lot of the Roland virtual guitar stuff, the VG8 and the VG88 and stuff like that. So, and behind me I have two VGA7 amps, so it's a lot of that sort of approach of the technologial approach of getting the Floyd sounds. And the other guitar player in the band, he uses a British boutique amp called a Cornford amp. Where I'm using Fender Strats. The other player he uses Music Man guitars. So and a range of rack mount and multi effects, and then stomp box effects as well.
Would you say the virtual amps, like amplifiers, simulators, and all that stuff, does a good job these days?
That's something I've always gone down that road of using that sort of equipment to recreate the Floyd sounds, all those sort of studio sounds that Floyd pioneered, the range of guitar sounds that you get on a Floyd track.
And with that, it makes it easier to travel gig to gig with less equipment, in a sense, correct?
Well, quite possibly, yeah. Although it's still a fairly substantial guitar rig, but it certainly makes it easier. You can sort of roll up in a place and maybe get some different amps hired in, when you're doing it that way. Because it really, with what you get with my rig, is it's a direct feed to the front of house. So I'm not actually micing my amps up. It's all DI'd, so the amps are sort of just there for my own benefit on stage.
How long have you been using this setup per se?
I got a VG8 when they first came out back in 95, 96, so I've basically been using this sort of setup I've got now for about the last 10 years. It sort of evolved into what it is now, and I've stuck with it because it seems to work for me.
Talking about the set list, Pink Floyd songs, considering a big catalogue in Pink Floyd, do you guys change the set list sometimes from different countries when you're touring?
It's more from tour to tour. We will sort of work out a set list for a tour as such, and then when the next one comes along, we try and change it up a bit. We're sort of changing a few songs from night to night occasionally during this tour. We're doing echoes on some nights, for example, which is a very substantial Floyd track.
For sure.
It's about over 20 minutes long. So.
And you guys are like kind of the band that's endorsed by Pink Floyd themselves?
In a sense, yeah, certainly. David Gilmour came to see the band quite a long while ago now, back in '94, and then he subsequently invited us to play at his 50th birthday party a couple of years later, and then he's been to see us again in London in 2004 at the Albert Hall in London. So, we've got certainly a certain level of support from him there.
That must be a good feeling, David Gilmour going, to watch the show and enjoying what he's seeing.
It's a good feeling after the fact. If you know he's there when you're playing, it's a very nerve-wracking feeling. You really feel the pressure.
Is there any certain albums of Pink Floyd like that you kind of drift more yourself, that you enjoy more than the others? Like, let's say the Sid Barrett era compared to with an album like Animals.
Animals is certainly a fun album to play. I like the track Dogs. I think is my favourite track from that album. But personally speaking, I think The Wall is my favourite album because it's very current at the moment. Because Roger Waters is touring all around the US with it. But it's the first Floyd album I remember hearing back when I was a 13-year-old, a young teenager. So I've always had a special affection for that album.
For the duplication of the sound, let's say the Wall album, the drums at least has a certain quality coming through it. Do you guys try to duplicate everything? in that sense?
Drums is a funny thing. They are quite difficult to recreate certain drum sounds from one room to another. It's probably one of the more difficult things to do. Keyboards is fairly, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's easier to recreate those sounds. And guitar sounds, providing you have the sort of right equipment at your disposal, you can recreate those sorts of sounds. But drum sounds is a difficult one, because at the end of the day you have a certain acoustic kit with a certain amount of certain bunch of microphones around it, so it's difficult to change the sound of it that much from song to song.
On outside the world of the Pink Floyd show you guys doing, what do you do? Do you work in studios as well, like to keep on products going?
I don't work so much. Occasionally I do some bits and pieces in studios, but playing the Floyd show, it takes up quite a lot of the year. I'm involved in a classic rock show after I finish this tour back in the UK. I've got a tour with that. I also have an acoustic outfit that I play with whenever I get the chance. It's a little thing called Acoustic Unlimited, which is very different from the Floyd thing. It's sort of playing all sorts of jazz and classical and Celtic and flamenco music all mixed together. So I try and do as much music as I can, really.
In that sense, you're keeping really busy throughout the years.
Certainly. Too busy, perhaps.
Well, that's great. Damian, real good pleasure to talk to you, and have a great tour, Canadian tour, when you come up.
Okay.
And
all right, thank you very much.
You will have a great time in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
I'm sure we will. We always do.
All right. We'll talk to you again someday.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.